Three, two, one, Mayor.
Uh-oh. John, are we going live today? We're doing another snippet.
Another snippet, Mayor.
Another quick little Christmas project, very impromptu.
Another snippet.
Are you logging us on?
Almost. Okay, there we are.
There we are, ready for another little snippet.
All right. Very good.
I don't see that you're on yet. Whoop, you
There
just
I am.
popped on. So, John, how's your day going?
Okay, Mayor, how's your day going?
Oh, crazy.
Crazy?
A bit crazy.
Huh.
I did my Monday chores. I watered my plants.
Oh, boy.
Watered my
Oh,
plants.
that's right. I forgot it was Monday. I don't know what
And
I was thinking.
I put, let's see, I put water in the two tiny little Christmas trees.
Oh.
And I was hoping, of all hoping, that it would warm up so I could go out and cut some greens for in the house. But it was too cold, so that will have to get postponed.
Yes.
I didn't want to go out in the cold weather,
No.
the bitter, bitter cold weather to cut greens for in the house. So that'll
Still
wait
only
for
in the
tomorrow.
20s today.
Yeah. And how cold did it get last night?
Went down to the teens.
Down to the teens.
Down to the teens.
Yeah, it was really cold here. I don't know how the weather is where you are, but it's cold here. It was too cold for me to go out and start trimming some greens for in the house. So
Hey, Miriam, good to see you. We just decided to hop on last minute.
for another little holiday snippet.
Hi, Carrie. Good to see you. You stay warm, too.
Yeah.
It's warm in the house. Well, relatively warm
Well,
in the house.
if you have on an insulated undershirt, a fleece, and a down vest, I'm almost warm, John. My hands aren't blue anymore, as blue as they were.
Oh, well, that's good.
I think Carrie, do you live in New Jersey? I think she does.
Oh, does she?
I think so. I'm not sure. Where does everybody live and what's the weather like? But we thought we'd come on with a little snippet. I watered my plants. I put water in the two tiny Christmas trees. I wanted to show you the table, but it was too cold to go out and cut the greens to finish the table. So I thought I had this little project that I wanted to make, and I've never done it before, but I saw it's kind of fun. And I have made something similar, but this takes it to another step. So are people saying where they live?
Yes, Carrie says she lives in Sparta, which is northwest Jersey.
Northwest?
Sparta, S-P-A-R-T-A.
I know I've heard that.
I don't know that city. What are you near, Carrie?
Are you near New York City? North of it?
Yeah, is that Bergen County?
New Jersey's like two different states, South Jersey and
Miriam
North
lives
Jersey.
in Albany, New York.
Oh boy, that's cold.
I remembered New York, but I couldn't remember where. Good.
So I'm just putting, this is no recipe, and if you wanted a recipe, you could go online, I'm sure, and find one. But I put about half a bag of...
Oh, Sussex County. Oh, okay.
Are you on the outskirts of New York?
Hi, Camille. Good to see you. She says, Marilyn, we still live in northwest Ohio, and it's 34.7 degrees.
Oh boy, you're warm. I didn't put makeup on. I've been just really enjoying the holiday, not putting any pressure. You know, we put all this pressure on ourselves all the time. And Cranberry's one of the top places. New Jersey is one of the top places for growing cranberries. And I think the other one is like Cape Cod or something like that. And I was going to tell you how big this bag is, but I just took my glasses off. It says it holds, I don't know. I put maybe about a cup or a cup and a half of cranberries, but it all depends on how much you like cranberries and all that. But like I said, you can always Google and try to find a recipe. So I put the cranberries in this mini prep. If you don't have one, they are well worth it. And I'm going to chop this, but let's see if I can get this out. But it's in pieces. I'm not making it into mutilated monkey meat. I'm just chopping it into pieces. So this is a very simple project, but I'm thinking it will be a wow when we're finished. I'm hoping for a wow. So I'm going to take the cranberries and put them in the pot. Let me get a scraper here. You can see I'm totally winging it. I got some of my things out, but probably not all of them that I need, so just bear with me. But we just thought it would be fun to do a lot of little snippets and just fun and enjoy friendship and time together. And I don't know how you feel about cranberries, but I love them, and so does John. And we eat cranberries frequently, and they'll last almost a year in the refrigerator sometimes. When cranberries are available, I'll buy quite a few bags, and I'll just cook a little bit of cranberry sauce or throw them into something. And that cranberry cake that I made before was really delicious. So now I'm going to say I have maybe a cup and a half of chopped cranberries. That may be too much for what I'm making. We'll see. I'm going to take 2 sticks of butter, and this is unsalted, so I'm going to throw some salt in there too. But I'm in an herb society, and they always make all these flavored butters, herb butters and all, and they're so delicious. And so with having such an extensive herb garden, I really enjoy using them. And what's everybody been up to? Did you finish your baking? I used to drive myself nuts having to have everything done, and a big decorated tree and a spotless house. And this year, my health has been waning a little bit, and so I thought I'm going to make everything a lot simpler. And when I get done, and I'll enjoy the time with the little snippets of time with my friends. So I put 2 sticks of butter in there, so we can always add more if we wanted. We'll see how it looks. And I cut some sprigs of rosemary, which maybe one of these I'll leave out. John,
hi Sandy, good to see you.
Hi Candy.
Sandy,
John,
Sandy.
Oh, Sandy. John, tell them about your experience with, I'm going to stick it right here in this little thing, with rosemary.
Marilyn always likes to tell me, to remind her of this story, because when we first started seeing each other and you're getting to know each other, and Marilyn's trying to figure out different foods that I like or don't like, and I said, I don't like rosemary. And why is that? Well, as a kid, my mom made almost every Sunday, but that's probably an exaggeration, rosemary chicken. And a lot of times, I don't know what happened, but the chicken was dry. So dried chicken and rosemary as a teenager, even though probably I was starving, it was not a pleasant culinary experience.
And the thing is, if you use dried rosemary that you buy in the store and it's in the little container, it feels like you're eating your old Christmas tree.
Hi Candy, good to see you.
Hi Candy, it would be very prickly in your mouth and not pleasant when you're a young kid. And that reminds me, John, a friend of mine gave me a book about it, but years ago, through the Herb Society, I met a woman named Linda Runyon, R-U-N-Y-O-N. It's funny how I could remember that name. Can't remember a name from 2 minutes ago. But Linda Runyon was a very interesting person. She had 2 boys, and one boy was autistic. And this has gone back, because I'm going to say those boys are at least 50 now. I think maybe older than my kids. And she was doing all this research. She's kind of was a person concerned about health. So I'm taking some rind off a lemon. I washed it first and now taking the rind. And the rind is just the yellow part. You don't want to take any of the white, because the white is the pith, and that doesn't taste as good. So we'll take the rind off, and we know orange, lemon, particularly lemon, make for certain flavors pop. Certain things pop flavors, and lemon is one of them. And somebody reminded me, make sure you get the back of your...
Candy says, it's funny, her youngest granddaughter will be glad I got to talk to my friend around Christmas.
Yeah. I want to get that.
Hi, Lisa. Good to see you.
That's all. I'm sorry, guys. I told you this is a snippet. It's just a fun time chatting with my friends and having fun. So please, the more messages you send me, the more better. So I like kosher salt for a lot of things, and I'm going to put some kosher salt in here, and that helps the flavor pop too. Kosher, any salt helps chocolate pop. So if you have a chocolate recipe and you want to try and see if you can pop it a little bit more, add a small amount of salt. You can always add more salt the next time, but you can't take salt away. So I put some salt in there, so I have about 1.5 cups of cranberries. Actually, I have more cranberries than I have butter, don't I? Well, we can add more butter later if we want. And I'm going to put, one...
Well, I'm all for more better.
Yeah, more better. I'm going to put 1 sprig of rosemary in just to appease John, and we'll put the other sprig back here. And look how festive. This is a little piece of crock that I found in the yard after a rain when I was digging around, and it's broken and it's stained and all that, but I think it looks so cute, so I stick my herbs in there sometimes.
Hi, Fredna. Good to see you.
Hi, Fredna. So, okay, so I have the chopped cranberries, which I chopped in my little mini prep processor. And if you have the opportunity to pick one up, they're great. You can get them at yard sales a lot. People buy all these appliances, never use them. But I use that all the time. And I chopped up my cranberries, 2 sticks of butter, the lemon rind from about 1 lemon, and a piece of rosemary. You could use dry rosemary, but you'll see it's better to use fresh if you can. So I'm just going to melt that on the stove. Put it on low. We'll get that going. So I've never tried doing butter with cranberries, but someplace I'd seen it done, and I'm like, you know, I think I'll try putting that in. I've used lemon thyme, lemon verbena, parsley, cilantro. I've used all kinds. What?
Lavender.
Lavender. Remember for the lavender tea, we made lavender butter. That's really delicious. Garlic. There's all kinds of things you can put in your butter, whatever you like. And a lot of times you go in a restaurant and they'll have like a dipping butter or a dipping oil that have the herbs in it. And sometimes the sprigs of herbs are still in the dish and they're all nice and fresh and all that. And enjoyable. But we're going to try something different, and I don't know whether you've seen this or not. I've not taken it to the next level, but we're going to take it to the next level today. So I just want to watch it till the butter starts melting here. Now I did leave the butter out, and they said that butter doesn't have to be refrigerated, and in our house, anything sitting out is still considered refrigerated. It's so chilly. And if you notice, insulated undershirt, fleece, down vest. A lot of times I'll wear my bathrobe all day over my clothes.
Hi, Carol. Good to see you.
And I like the ones that have pockets that go this way, so I can put my phone and whatever I need, my tissue, in the pockets, and it's handy. But if you have to walk out in the yard and all, you wonder if you'll scare somebody. They think you never got moving for the day. So I just want to get this butter melted, and then I'm going to let this simmer for 20 minutes,
Wow.
approximately.
Carol says it's good seeing you.
It's good to see you. Well, I can't see you, but using the expression. Now the butter's starting to melt, and I don't want brown butter. I just want melted, simmered, flavored butter. Now a lot of times when you make the herb butter, you can just soften the butter and mix the herbs in it and let it just age on its own, pack it in a container like how we made the lavender butter, and refrigerate it, and in a few hours it will be infused flavors.
I can smell the lemon all the way over here.
Can you?
Yep.
Yeah, lemon's really good for making flavors pop. I told you I was the culinary judge for the state fair.
Carol says it's a good thing you can't see her.
Yeah, and sometimes when I'm behind the cameras, it's really nice. But today I'm like, my friends won't care. This is a snippet. Snippets don't need makeup or fancy clothes or anything. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to enjoy your company. So the butter's starting to melt, and we'll put 15 minutes on the timer, just because I'm really not good at timing stuff. And we're going to just have this one very low, and we're going to let infuse the flavor, because John's hoping that it has a good rosemary flavor. And you see I had some dry rosemary here, and well, it flakes off in little pieces just like an old Christmas tree. And if you have that, it's not pleasant to have in your mouth sometimes. And I have my bay leaf here that I grow, but and if you get it in the jar, you don't know how old that is, particularly if you get it like the Dollar Tree. I'm not thinking that's the freshest herbs that you can get.
Carol says living in a log house is a bit cold too. Their butter's never spreadable sitting out on the countertop during the winter.
Yeah, isn't that funny? So I have 2 containers because I wasn't sure how much butter I'd be making. And this is a total wing it. But I'm going to need my glue gun. Would you plug that in, hon? And you say, what? Why would you need hot glue for your project?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Well, that's the crank it up a notch.
Oh.
So, with the beauty of Amazon, we ordered, and I'll tell you what it says on the package, because you want to get food, what would it be called? Food
Gradable?
Food safe.
Food safe?
Okay, so this was allegedly food safe candle making candle wick kit. So it says candle wick kit. And I forget how many were in here. They weren't that expensive. You'd have to look that up. If somebody wants to look it up and post it, that's good. I don't have an Amazon link or anything, but if you want to look it up just to share it. So they're little wicks, and they have the metal stems on them. Have you guys seen them? They're all the rage.
Candy says, I'm watching in the back row. You know about us tall people.
Yeah, aren't we always stuck in the back? Yeah, there's the top of my head. Although I was so tall, you saw more than the top. And you always bent down. You had that little bend down with your legs so you can look like you're normal. Like you're typically developing. So I want to turn this down a little bit. We just want this a little bit. So it's just about a cup and a half of chopped cranberries, I just guessed, and 2 sticks of butter, and 1 branch of rosemary. Now, surprisingly, maybe 1's going to be enough, 1 dish. I think it will be. I don't know whether, should I make 2 or just do 1?
Do 1.
Okay, just do 1.
If the handles it.
We can make more if we like it.
Correct.
And make other flavors.
Correct.
So it was 2 sticks of butter, a cup and a half of cranberries, and a little bit of salt, and the lemon rind. And that's all I put in there. And I think you would just do that according to taste. I'm almost thinking I want to put another butter in there. Trying to decide. Do you remember that prune commercial? Is 1 enough? Is 6 too many for prunes? And whenever I think of numbers, I always think of that. Because, my goodness, if 1 isn't enough, I wouldn't jump to 6. I would try 3 or 4 first. But anyway, we're just melting the butter and infusing it. So today I was thinking all about Christmas and all the hype, and I've been thinking about this all the holidays, and particularly since we've kind of been in quarantine or whatever you want to call it, and it's changed our whole perspective. Like, I used to get together with a lot of people and do all kinds of things. So now my glue's warm, and I'm just going to put it on there. And I'm going to stick that in the bottom of my dish.
Like that.
So this is one of these, I believe it's Corningware. It's Corningware. So it will take heat and all, and I'm thinking it should be fine. And these wicks will just pop out when I'm finished. But we're just going to put the wicks in there and stand them up all nice like little soldiers. Have you guys seen this done? D-U-N-N?
Mm-hmm.
I used to wonder why my mother would never let us say done. She said people get finished, cakes get done. And I guess because of the last name, she didn't like it. It never registered to me until I was an adult. So I have my 3 wicks. So you remember when you do things aesthetically, they say it looks better in odd numbers. So
Al says no, she hasn't.
Of course we'll do the odd numbers. So I just use some of the hot glue and I put the wick standing up in there, all like nice little soldiers. Now in candles, a lot of times they'll show you put.
Fredna wants to know why we're still quarantining.
Yeah, because of I have a brain tumor and a terminal lung disease and a lot of autoimmune from having cancer in the treatment years ago, and so if I would catch something, it would probably be my demise. So we're just letting this fuse for, I put it on for 15 minutes. Your choice of how long. I try to tell John because he likes exact directions, like tell me 1 tablespoon level, you know, he wants everything exact. And I do measure for cakes and things, a lot of things I do measure. But a lot of times, most of my meals are wing-its.
Always.
And
hey,
then,
Krista, good to see you.
Hi, Krista.
She sprinkled you out.
Oh, thanks, Krista. And the problem with winging it is sometimes it isn't successful. And also, if it is successful, when you think about it, you either forgot about it or you don't remember how you made it. So that's a problem. So this is just simmering on the stove, the butter, 2 sticks of butter, about a cup and a half of the cranberries I chopped in my mini prep, and lemon rind. Now you can put other things in there if you want. You cannot do cranberries. You could do any other herb, or you could put garlic in there. And then I was thinking, oh boy, this would be delicious to make the butter with brown sugar and cinnamon and some of those spices like you see for the holidays, nutmeg and all, and make the flavored butter like that. So I thought that could be fun also. Right, John?
Correct,
And you could make like almost like a French toast.
Can you make anything with raisins?
Yeah, you can make raisins.
Candy's favorite.
Yep, extra raisins for Candy when she comes to visit her friend. And I was thinking all the hype for all the holidays and how everything has to be perfect. And John always talks about the Bible story. And tell me about the Bible story. I'm not a person that really learned a lot about the Bible when I was young.
Being extremely careful is for good reason. It's a petri dish out there.
Yep, and there's everybody, not everybody, but many folks are getting sick. So tell us about the Bible story.
It says no raisins.
Yeah.
Which Bible story am I telling you?
About Jesus coming to visit.
I don't know why. I go into certain stories, certain homilies from when I used to go to church as a kid, and I guess a number of the lessons were repeated, and I always tell, well, I don't always tell Marilyn, but I say sometimes it reminds me of the story where Mary and her sister were preparing for a visit from Jesus, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't know the technicalities. But
and we interpret things of how we remember. Don't hold us to the exact thing. This is just everybody interprets things their own way, and this is how John remembers hearing this story.
Yeah, and it's just that her sister was busy getting ready for Jesus, and cleaning and cooking and dusting and whatever, all the details that you would do to prepare for a special guest. And so I'm going to get them mixed up. And then the other sister, didn't get that involved. And then when Jesus was there, the one sister that hadn't did all the work, the one sister that did all the work was kind of in a huff because the other sister didn't. And the lesson that Jesus said, well, it's nice that you do all the work, but it's more the visit that counts. So, in so many words, that's what he meant. It's not the preparation, it's actually the time spent visiting.
Yeah, so being with people and giving your time is just such a wonderful gift. And during the holidays, that's something you have to remind yourself. Most people don't come to see if there's dust on your woodwork or things like that. And if they do, we'll let them. It gives them something to talk about. It's like that whole thing. Everybody says, we'll let them. And that's sometimes I think about it. People are going to talk no matter how spotless your house is. When we bought our last house, a woman that I had just met had asked would we be on a house tour. So I brought her over, and I was showing her around, and I thought the house looked pretty good, and I thought it was really spotless. We were just moving in, and everything looked so nice, I thought. And we're going down to the bottom level of the house, and she looks and she says, "Ooh, I hate to be the one to tell you, you have a cobweb here." And that was it for me. I didn't want to pursue a friendship, and I didn't want to have the people in the house because I'm past where I want to live under a microscope. And you see when I do my projects, I'm not as flaw-free as many people. I have shaky hands, I have a lot of things, and to be perfectly honest, that's not my goal at this point in my life. I had times where I was more of a perfectionist, but I want to enjoy myself more than I want to have perfection. And what you see is what I am, and if you don't like it, I'm sorry, just scroll on and look at somebody else. That's kind of a crazy thing to say, but You get the idea of what I'm saying. But that Bible story just reminds you, people are coming to enjoy the holidays. I remember we would get together with my cousins and exchange gifts. And in the beginning, there was no limit. And then as we got older and we weren't kids anymore, we gave gifts. And it was rather chaotic. There'd be 30 people passing gifts around. And I remember my grandmother was an older woman, like my age, maybe even younger. And she was there, and my uncle, her son, opened a package, and he said, "Mom, I love the shirt." And she goes over, "That's not your shirt, that goes to John." And she takes my uncle's shirt and puts it over to my dad, or it was vice versa, you know, and she was annoyed that he opened the package. But everybody was yelling, they'd be holding up, "Thanks for this, whoever gave it to me." And we got where we exchanged gifts that were only $1 or $2, and many of the gifts were handmade, but it was just the joy of getting together, and you really didn't care about the gifts. It was just the excitement of being in a big chaotic mess, and wrapping paper was flying, and little kids were shuffled around in the piles. But it was really, it was fun memories for me, and I knew every Christmas Eve I was getting together with this rowdy group. And as time went on, we got more rowdy. My mom was, if you haven't followed that in the past, my mom was very polished and very refined and just so. And with the holidays, she really couldn't manage doing a lot. She would be overwhelmed. And I remember her spending Christmas in bed one year, and never were the gifts wrapped in time. We were all wrapping gifts. We'd wrap our own gifts sometimes. It was always last minute. We wouldn't maybe have Scotch tape. She would forget to have purchased that. I mean, you know, but the bottom line, we had a great time, and it was a lot of fun. And now there's people have too high expectations. You look on TV and everything's over the top, and on Facebook, people's decorations and their gifts and the advertisements. You know, we used to get the Sears catalog, and John and I talked about it, and you would circle everything in the catalog you wanted. You knew you weren't going to get it, but there was always that big dream that something would happen, and you would get, what was it, the Alamo, John?
I think so.
The big metal Alamo, and all the stuff for it. And later John got into trains, so, but you would circle that you wanted all this stuff. But in realization, you were happy with anything. I remember we got a book, an orange, maybe a game that we shared, a sweater. It was never over the top, but it was always exciting and magical.
Candy says, time is the very best you can give someone, and one reason I enjoy my friends as you do share your time with all of us. And Camille says, "Oh, how rude, one cobweb." She says, "I'm not a perfectionist. My house is messy and lived in." And Candy says, "My neighbor once ran out of tape and cut up pieces of Band-Aids." And Camille says, "I tend to be a collector of stuff. Now stuff doesn't have a good spot."
Yeah, it's just, but I don't set the bar high. If you come here, the bar's not going to be high. You're going to see I'm a very down-to-earth casual person. Yes, I like a nice table. I like a lot of things. But as I've gotten older, my energy has waned, and the interest in putting all my time into cleanliness and everything put away has slid down a little bit. But, I was thinking with my dad when he was a little boy, and during the Depression, he was born in the 20s, and their family was really impoverished. He couldn't go to school because he didn't have...
Hi, Tammy Neff. Good to see you.
Hi, Tammy. He couldn't go to school because he didn't have shoes. And his grandmother, who he was very close with, saw that one of the neighbors had passed away. They lived in a row house in the city, very, very modest, and everybody had nothing. My grandparents never had a car. My dad's parents never had much. But he didn't have shoes, and the elderly lady up the street had passed away. And my dad's grandmother went up and said to him, could she have this woman's shoes, that she wouldn't need them now and she could be buried without shoes, but her grandson would be really privileged to have them and be able to go to school. So could you imagine nowadays you wearing an old woman's shoes? And you know what they were like. They had like the little heel, what was that called?
I don't know. Hey Laurie, good to see you.
They had like a heel, old-fashioned, you know, from the early 1900s. That's what he wore. And I have to try to find the picture. I know my daughter has a copy of it. My dad had a sweater that was just shreds that he wore. And could you imagine today if a kid didn't have some current style clothes and things that everybody had? Let me look at this. And fortunately, being in a row house, you didn't have to be as concerned about the heat because you would get heat from each of your neighbors' houses. And I know I lived in a row house when I was younger and first married, and they always accused this one woman of never turning on her heat because she was in the middle of the row. And they said she just sucks the heat from the people around her. So I'm going to pull out the big sprig of rosemary, and I see some of, even though it was fresh cut, I see that some of the little pieces came off. So sorry about that, John. You'll have to man up and eat those pieces. So if you can see, it's melted butter, 2 sticks, 1.5 cups of chopped cranberries, and the rind from 1 lemon, and
Salt.
what?
Did
A
you
little
say
salt, yeah, a little kosher salt, and the sprig of rosemary. And we're going to put it in here. And like I said, I never made this. I made, oh boy, I could have melted another stick of butter. Oh, and guess what happened? I'm going to have to put the wicks up better. And they're food safe wicks, and they were hot glued in there, but you can see how well that worked with the hot butter. So let me tape these up like you can when you're making.
Camille says her dad was born in 1921, her mom in 1922, and my mom most times no shoes or wore out shoes. And her dad quit school and went to work at a CC camp in Upper Michigan.
Yeah, it was just very different. Let me get Scotch tape that I have here, just happen to have. Let's see if I can tape these to stand up better. Oh. But you can't even imagine, you know, now everybody's so specific what they want. Oh, they want this brand and this size and this, and you can't imagine how it was. And I was going to say about the heat, so everybody there had coal heat. That will hold that up a little bit. They had coal heat, and I should have taped it. So the lesson being, this is my first time making this. The lesson being, I would put tape to hold the wicks before I poured it in. I didn't think about the heat of the butter. So this is how you learn. You don't read instructions or anything. You just do what you want, and you learn. And the wicks are getting a little bit soft too. But these are food safe wicks. We did look that up because I am conscious of that. Come on, little wick. Stay up here. But my dad, as a young boy, went and worked on a farm in the summer. A relative had a farm, and he also cut the grass at the cemetery. And back then, there were no power mowers. You used a sickle. And imagine cutting around all the tombstones, and people actually tried to be careful. Okay, so now we're going to cut the wicks down. Oh boy. It's not going to cut easily. We'll let that harden. When it hardens, I'll cut the wicks down. So the butter will solidify, and we now have a butter candle. And what I saw was, you light the candle, the wicks will be shorter. You light the candle and it melts the butter in little puddles on there, and you dip your bread in the puddles.
Fun.
So I thought this looked really fun. John and I like all kinds of different things. I don't know whether the other scissors cut any better. Yeah. I want to make it sure it goes all the way to the bottom. And that's a little snippet for today.
Lori says, so fun. It is fun.
But you light the
It'll be
candles
fun
and
to
then
eat it too.
it melts the butter. And you could make, I have all these little things. You could take a much smaller one and make an individual one if you don't want to share your germs, because there's always the double dipper. And I remember
Carrie says it's a very cute idea.
when I had parties and somebody double dipped, I just took the dip and threw it right away. I would be so annoyed that people would not have the couth and not know that you didn't want their germs. But with John and me, we have no problem
Tammy says that's very cool.
doing that. So I'll let you know how that is. I'll take some pictures when it's finished. But I'll finish telling you some more of the things. So my dad and
Hi Debbie, good to see you. She says she never heard of it, and it's definitely interesting to see it work.
yeah, and I just picture, it would be fun if you went out to eat and you had that at the table. That's something you would linger over. And since John and I don't go out and mix and mingle, this is something that we'll actually enjoy. I'll set up a tray with some bread, and we already did our curbside order, and John ate all the bread that we bought, all the baguettes. And so I'm like, shoot, I don't have a baguette to do with this. So one of the things I fall under, and the crafters do, is creativity. And if you're a creative person, it's not just in your crafting, it's in all aspects of life. And I don't know whether anybody can develop creativity, or you just enhance your creativity by, like, exercising. The more you exercise, the more you can exercise.
Debbie says she'd rather stay home too. Thanks for the hearts, everybody.
But I like to try to be creative in everything, whether it's gardening, whether it's in my clothes, whether, you know, my crafting, whether in the kitchen. But a lot of times you're at a loss, and so I'm like, we need bread. I can't do a curbside order just for a loaf of a baguette of bread. And maybe I could order a few and put them in the freezer, but it's going to take time, and it's right before Christmas, and they might not be able to pull it today. And so there's an Italian restaurant that's about 15 minutes away. And I don't know whether, I think I told you, but I'm not sure. It might have been a bank or something. It has a drive-up window. And it's kind of like in an awkward, funny place. And the first time we went, John had seen it in the ad. And we went and like, this is really awkward. And they have a doorbell and you ring it and then they come to the window. So we, today our Advent treat was we got an Italian hoagie and split it from there. And we asked them if we could buy a loaf of their bread. And so the woman, when we called the order in, the young woman had to be like new and really didn't know. And she didn't want to bother the boss. He was busy trying to cook. And I said, well, we'll ask when we pick up our hoagie. And when we got there, we asked her, and she said, oh, yeah, let me ask. And it was back and forth and back and forth. But to make a long story short, we left with a loaf of bread. And I said to John, when we lived in another little town, there was a small grocery store that had limited amount of stuff. So I learned you can go to some of the restaurants in the off times and ask to buy something. And you might ask them, like, can I buy a loaf of bread if the grocery store didn't have the baguette that you wanted. And 9 times out of 10, they'll sell it to you. And if you're polite, you have a better chance. But also, if you don't ask, the answer is no, 100%. if you ask, there's always a glimmer of hope. And if they say no, then you have to accept it and be gracious and leave. And maybe the next time when you go by, they'll say, oh, you know, if you ever need bread, come by, or if you go in there to eat. And so we were at a diner one time, and I don't remember why, but this was long pre-COVID. But we said something, and I said to John, you know what, I wonder if we could buy turkey here. We wanted turkey for something. And so I asked him when I came around, I asked the waitstaff, can we buy turkey? And they said, well, what kind of turkey? And I said, like some sliced stuff that I think I was going to make hot turkey sandwich at home or something. I don't remember what it was. And she said, well, let me ask. She went back and she said, it's fresh roasted turkey. They sliced some up for us. They sold it cheaper than we could buy it in the grocery store. And we had turkey, and John said, I would have never thought to ask at the diner if we could buy sliced turkey. And I said, well, we're here, and I thought it didn't hurt to ask, and we got it. And so many situations we've been in like that, right, John?
Yeah. Candy says that looks so fun to enjoy, and it would, with the two of you enjoying it, it will be perfect. Hi, Judy. Good to see you. And Camille says, hey, homemade bread will help warm your home up.
Yeah. I just don't feel like making bread now. I used to make it every day, and it was no big deal, but today I didn't feel like making bread. I felt like making a butter candle and having the fun of it and sharing the time with my friends. But I think I'll try it again, making this butter candle, and I'll use cinnamon and sugar and that sort of thing, because that would be really good. Even if you just use those cheesy biscuits in the tube, and dip it. Oh boy, wouldn't that be good?
Yes.
Homemade biscuits and dip it in that. And just having it with a candle where it's melted and warm would really be fun. Definitely. And if you don't want to do the candle, you can just make the flavored butters. But this was fun, and I think they were only like, wicks might have only been like 10 cents or something each, maybe even less. And they came within one day for us. They came ordered in one day and came the next. But you could also make candles, and probably I have wicks someplace and candle supplies. But I wanted to make sure that they were food safe. So
Debbie says, do you chill it in the fridge to firm it up?
I guess you could. I never made it like this before. With the herb butter, I've let it sit out, and I've also put it in the fridge. But I would not leave this on refrigerated. Once you mix concoction into the butter, you've contaminated it, and it's not as food safe. So once you put something in the butter, I would refrigerate it. So this will be good. But I have 3 or 4 things I wanted to make with cranberries. So I thought, well, let me do a little snippet with the butter. And there was something else I was going to tell them too. Oh, I was just going to say about, you know, my dad said his best Christmas was the year they each got an orange and they got a pencil sharpener that they shared. And I still have that little pencil sharpener. And you think of things that you treasure the most, and it's things like that, a silly little pencil sharpener. But it was my dad's best Christmas. So
that's very true, Curry. It's fun living with Marilyn. That's why she says, hang on to your hat.
Yeah. I had just quick thing, so you understand a little bit more. When
Tammy says, oh.
My first husband and I both worked in retail. We worked a lot of hours. I was a buyer for a department store. He was a store manager. When I had my son back then, they didn't want you to work while you were pregnant. They wanted you out of there. You're finished. They didn't want you to come back after you had a child. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I ended up going to graduate school after my son was born and getting actually 2 more degrees. But during that time, my son, from when he was at the sitter, he caught that RSV, which is going around now, a very serious respiratory disease. He was 2 years old. He got the croup very badly. We rushed him to the doctors. The doctor said he was fine, we got him home and he stopped breathing, and he had an emergency trach done, and they didn't think he was going to survive. And they said he'd probably have serious brain damage, and he may never speak again because he had the trach and he was only 2 years old. So for the next so many years, I was in caring for a child with very serious disabilities, and again, I couldn't go out and I couldn't expose him to any germs. We had to wash up. If I went out, which was maybe only once a month, I had to change my clothes and all that. I wouldn't bring any contaminants home to him. So he ended up doing fine and growing up and having a family, and everything's great. But all those things teach you a lesson. And I would sit and sew, and I would make a fire. We had a fireplace in the living room. I'd make a fire, and I'd spread out a blanket, and we'd eat like picnic style in the house. You have to make your own happiness, and it begins with yourself. Nobody else can make you happy if you're not happy. And that's a hard thing to understand, and it's a hard time when you look. Like I look on Facebook and everybody's getting together with grandkids and baking cookies and singing carols and doing all this, and we don't have that privilege of being around people. And if they did travel to visit, they would have to be in isolation from us because what they're exposed to in traveling would be even greater. So
Lori says she caught that last year along with the big C.
Oh, geez.
And Candy says, you know from your son's life how very important to be careful of germs. And Candy also said her neighbor started creating bread. They're reaping the benefits. They got a delicious loaf of bread covered with honey butter, then a whole pan of some of the best cinnamon rolls and spicy bread and collages? Collages?
Collage. I know that word. I can't think of what it is.
And
so.
today she's going to start a sourdough starter, so she sends a glass jar, disposable pans. They're in a win-win situation.
Oh, man. I'm moving to your neighborhood, Candy. Are there any trailer parks around that I can throw everything in a trailer and come to your hood? None of my neighbors are baking and distributing. I used to do that where I lived before. Made things, and that's a whole nother story, but I used to make and give to all the neighbors and all. But
Candy says she talks to her 92-year-old friend every morning to help her see the positives of life.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard when you're trapped inside and, watch TV or look at Facebook or have memories. And memories are there to treasure, but not to bring sadness, and that's the part you think about sometimes. So I find food is a way to be creative and make some happiness. And John was not a foodie when I met him, but he has learned to enjoy a lot of the foods and have some fun with it.
Who's Sweetwater? Tara?
Yeah, Tara.
Hi, Tara. Good to see you. She said her and the boys baked for others this year.
Wow, that's fun. I saw.
Candy says, hey, our folks' house is empty. Come on to Iowa.
Oh, okay. Who said that?
Candy.
Her parents' house?
Yep.
Oh, man, we're coming. Does it have heat and running water and indoor plumbing? We don't even need the indoor plumbing. We'll bring our own pot. We got all those chamber pots we could bring.
There you go.
We could have a good time. We're rowdy people, so we're going to let you go. I don't know whether we'll come back on with another snippet. We have a couple things, but like I said, I didn't go out and cut greens yet, so the table setting isn't ready. But I wanted to do this, and I'm going to try to come on again if I feel up to it and give you another snippet.
Hey, Zoanne, good to see you. Tammy's laughing.
Yeah. So,
all right.
We'll see you later, or maybe we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks,
we appreciate
guys,
it.
for being here, and a very casual event, and I'll take some pictures of what it looks like, and hopefully it turns out. Bye, guys.
See ya.